Hi, this is Sherry Elliott Pope, and welcome back to How to Art. Today we're going to be working on a landscape, and I've pre-primed the canvas with 2 coats of gesso and did an underpainting. Now I'm applying some titanium white in the sky area, and we're going to be adding pastel blues and greens to that, and with the white paint still wet, we'll be pulling up some of the white into the blues and greens. Okay, I've continued to work this process up, and I added some blue violets to this as well. And so this is after some work. You can see those colors kind of marrying together. I am now working on establishing the horizon line. I am adding some blue violet into this area that's going to be where our water is. This is not an ocean scene, but it would be like a large creek or a river system. I am adding the land area now and applying some mossy green color for the ground. This can be obtained by adding your green and yellow and some black with that. The sky area has dried now, so I'm coming back in and adding some pastel yellows and oranges. So with the clouds, we're going to be building up color. We're going to have the darker orange in there and the lighter oranges and yellows, and then we'll be adding the titanium white in for highlights. In an effort to keep these videos at a reasonable length, I've cut some of the areas that are redundant. And as with the clouds here, you see how I'm working them up, and I'm primarily doing the same thing, trying to make clouds that look like clouds, and we want to have the dark and light areas and keeping it pastel. I'm going to be taking some of that blue violet and bringing it back in to the bottom side of the clouds just to make them blend better, so that it just doesn't look like I threw clouds on the canvas, but it just looks, I want it to look like it's more a part of the atmosphere, a part of the sky. So I'm bringing in some of those pastel blues, blue violets, and greens into the bottoms of the clouds. I'm using a filbert brush here, and I'm just lightly touching the areas so that it blends a very soft transition between the colors. I'm going to be adding some various highlights into the water area here. Right now I'm adding a blue violet, but I'll also be adding some of the colors that we see in the sky, some of those orange and yellows. And with the different colors in the water, it'll be interesting to look at, visually interesting, but also it gives the appearance of movement. I'm using a small flathead brush to add some of these orange and yellow highlights. I don't want them to be a stark difference. Of course, you know, you can do as you like, but I want to have this be subtle, so I'll be coming back over it and blending these a little bit better. So I'm adding some pastel orange in now. And as you know, orange and blue are complementary colors. They're opposite each other on the color wheel, look good together. And yellow and violet are opposite each other on the color wheel and look good together. So these just help make this visually appealing. I'm bringing in some of the darker values into the horizon line area just to differentiate it from the sky. I'm adding some pastel blue highlights. I've added some of the blue that we've been working with some blending medium and a little bit of water and work that up to a pretty thin mixture. And now I'm going to go over this whole water area as a glaze, which will make this area look more connected. With a line brush, I'm adding some pastel blue highlights. And I'm adding some more glaze. I've decided that the cloud area and the water is looking a little too defined. I want to push it back into the background a little bit more. So I've mixed some blending medium, titanium white, and a little bit of water to make a thin mixture, and I'm going over the sky and the water. We're going to be painting some trees that'll be in our foreground as well as that patch of land there. So that's really what I want to be my focus area. And so the clouds and the water will be then very much in the background. I have also waited until those paint areas were dry to apply the glaze on top of it. For our trees, I've mixed together some burnt sienna, some of the yellow and orange, and we'll be using various shades of that to describe the trees that we're drawing. And so the lighter areas will be in the area in the front, and the darker areas that we'll paint will represent the back um, of the tree away from the light. And this is going to give it a more 3D appearance so that it's just not a flat object on the canvas. I am using a flat head for the trunk area and a line brush for the limbs on the trees. I allowed that tree area to dry, and now I'm coming in to add the leaves on the tree. So I want this to be spring, so it's not going to be heavy with leaves like you would see later in the summer. So I'm using a filbert brush, and it was a filbert brush that had really been used for a long time and was really frayed. And so I've taken that and I did cut out some of the bristles to fashion my own brush to be able to make the foliage that you're seeing now. And so I've mixed together some pastel oranges and reds and yellows, bright yellows, to uh, create this. And I'm going to allow it to dry in between each color change so I don't get such a muddying effect on the paint. Okay, we're going to work on the ground area now. And I've mixed together some yellow greens to paint the grass. We're going to have some various shades of green. You know, you can mix those in your palette. And we are going to also add some yellows and reds and oranges in there to represent flowers that are coming up in the spring. So I envisioned this as an area overlooking the water. So it's at an elevated height. I'm making use of the fan brush now, so I've taken a light green and I've applied it to the tips of the fan brush on either side. So I'm using this upward motion with the fan brush to create blades of grass. So there's a portion of the video that I lost because I didn't press record when I first started adding these flowers, but what I've done is just taken a line brush, and I've also used that same filbert brush that I used for my leaves on the tree to add dots of orange, yellow, and reds. I also wanted to extend my line where the land is out a little bit further. No particular reason other than I thought that it would look a little better, and so working that area in now. I'm painting my dog Rex now. He is a very curious dog. I think he's an intelligent dog as well. And I often just catch him out in the yard just looking at things. And I think he's thinking about things. He's very smart. and we're finished. I really enjoyed this painting, and I hope you did too. If you learned something, I ask that you would please like and subscribe so I can continue bringing you more videos.